This video is sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN is the leading virtual private network that protects your online identity, whether you're at an airport, coffee shop, or anywhere. We'll talk more about NordVPN at the end of the video, but for now, let's get on with how to be authentic from the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche says, "No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher, cultural critic, composer, poet, and philologist, and is considered as one of the greatest and most unusual thinkers of all time. He was one of the precursors of existentialism. Existentialism is more a cultural movement rather than a philosophical one, which considers that freedom is at the core of human existence. All human values should be based on it, and, moreover, existentialism affirms the categorical moral imperative of authenticity. In line with the theory of existentialism, Nietzsche talked about the importance of having an authentic life. In existentialism, authenticity is the degree to which a person's actions are in line with their beliefs and desires, despite the pressure from society to behave in one way or another. Nietzsche emphasized having the courage to be authentic and to fight against the tyranny of popular beliefs. He wrote several books, including Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, The Birth of Tragedy, and The Twilight of the Idols. His teachings have shaped the lives of many people, from psychologists to poets, dancers to social revolutionaries. So, to understand how his ideas can help you in your life, here are 7 ways we can learn to be authentic from the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. Number 1. Accept yourself as a totality. In the words of Nietzsche, it is a myth to believe that we'll find our authentic self after we've left behind or forgotten one thing or another. To make ourselves, to shape a form from various elements, that is the task of a sculptor, of a productive human being. One of the recurrent themes in the philosophy of Nietzsche is the idea of becoming who we are. By this process, we do not build our character by trying to copy role models as per society's standards in the attempt to become perfect, but rather we take everything into account, all the parts of ourselves, the good and the bad. We sculpt ourselves into something that we choose, using all sides of our personality, ignoring none. This process requires a deep acceptance of any negative traits of ourselves. We need to stop judging our characteristics, no matter how ugly they are. We have to find strength in weakness, beauty in the ugly. There is a saying that the secret of success is to make strengths out of our weaknesses. And this saying can be considered in line with Nietzschean philosophy. For example, consider that you're not good at confronting others, defending your rights, or verbally expressing your rejection of something. Let's say your neighbor has the habit of parking his car in front of your house, blocking your entrance. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself that you don't have the courage to confront your neighbor and trying to ignore the subject, pretending that it doesn't bother you, or worse, forcing yourself to confront the neighbor and thereby putting yourself in an even bigger stress, you should start accepting this trait of your personality and make it a strength. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at confrontation," try saying, "I'm good at avoiding confrontation." In this way, you remain authentic to yourself. You accept the traits of your personality even when they're not desirable. You should find ways to solve your problems and remain authentic to yourself at the same time. You can write a very polite letter to your neighbor and put it in his mailbox. In this letter, you can write that you're sorry for disturbing him with your request, but you have difficulty entering and exiting your house because of his car, and that you can offer him your help to finding a better parking solution. This way, you remain authentic to yourself, and you'll have created an opportunity to solve your problem by solving his problem. Number 2. Follow your own path. According to Nietzsche, there is one path in the world that none can walk but you. Where does it lead? Don't ask, walk. Nietzsche believed that embracing difficulties is essential in having a fulfilling life, and although the journey to self-discovery is one of the most difficult ones, it's also the most rewarding. Although this journey is very difficult, we need to have the courage to take it and stop second-guessing. Nietzsche said that we have an inner voice that we should listen to, a voice that guides us on this journey, and that we have a duty to become who we are. There is nobody else who can help us walk this path. It is only this inner voice we should follow, and we need to stop questioning it. Most people don't have concrete goals in life. They imitate what others do, like finding a good job, marrying someone, having children, buying a house, buying a car, and so on. To live an authentic life, it's important to make a habit of listening to your inner voice, no matter how big the contradiction between the path you're currently following and the direction the inner voice is pointing. For example, if you're a construction engineer, but you know inside yourself that you have great potential to develop your artistic skills in painting, you should start listening to this inner voice more. You might start by buying the necessary materials and spending an hour or two practicing every day. Follow videos or take a class in painting. Try to get them displayed in local exhibitions, sell prints online, and so on. Do everything possible to follow your inner voice when it tries to tell you what your true calling is in life. Number 3. Accept that you're different. To quote Nietzsche, "And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music." Nietzsche believed that there is no right way to live your life, that everything which is authentic is beyond good and evil, that we do not have an objective right to judge other people's actions as good or bad. Other people can be quite different from ourselves, but even if we cannot hear their music, we should not judge them. We don't have any objective right to judge people for who they are, whether that's a different sexual orientation, unusual fashion sense, annoying habits, or different political opinion. Just because we don't understand these orientations and behaviors, we don't have the right to declare them bad or wrong. Equally, if we are the ones who are very different from others, we should ignore what others think of us. They have no right to call us whatever they like, just because they don't understand us. To live an authentic life, we need to live free from the judgments of others, and in doing so, let others live freely as well. Nietzsche didn't have a glorious life. He was rarely praised for his philosophical work during his lifetime. He never sought money and fame. He chose to be authentic and write in an honest way, in line with his true philosophy. While Nietzsche focused on authenticity, he could see others desperately running for trophies and plaudits, their main goal in life to shine in front of others and assert their superiority. One example Nietzsche experienced during his life was his good friend and famous composer, Richard Wagner. They met frequently. Nietzsche admired the musical geniality of Wagner, and Wagner admired the intelligence and artistic skills of Nietzsche. However, because of an event in Bayreuth, Germany, Nietzsche decided to leave Wagner and his circle, disgusted by the dramatic style he used in making music to gain popularity. Nietzsche considered that Wagner started to compose music for the masses to make an impression on them, leading him towards higher peaks of success because of that inauthentic way of composing music. Nietzsche expressed his disgust towards the kind of people who seek praise at the expense of authenticity. Such people, as Richard Wagner, are not following their own path. They're following somebody else's path. In Wagner's case, the masses. Following what is popular is living against yourself, especially when there's a big difference between who you really are and society's standards. If you're homosexual, for example, and you're raised in a deeply religious family who rejects this, you need to try to stop caring about what they think of you. They simply cannot hear your music. They cannot understand you. And so, to be authentic to yourself, you need to choose you over them. There's no point trying to fit in with a group which doesn't understand you. You must accept that you're different, and you shouldn't worry what those people say about you. Number 4. Obey only yourself. Nietzsche tells us, "He who obeys does not listen to himself." In Nietzsche's view, we need to become our own masters, to have enough willpower to overcome temptations, urges, obsessions, because otherwise we will be commanded. Nietzsche considered that there are 2 fundamental types of morality: master morality and slave morality. Master morality values pride and power, and slave morality values kindness, empathy, and sympathy. Although slave morality seems to be a more humanistic one and more embraced nowadays, Nietzsche warned that this kind of morality can make us obey other people more easily, will make us forget our own aspirations, and will prevent us from acting in an authentic way. If we become too empathetic towards others, there's the danger that we'll meet those who will take advantage of that empathy. Therefore, for the sake of our own psychological health, it's better to balance empathy with self-confidence and self-respect. For example, if somebody close to you, a spouse or sibling, is taking advantage of your good nature and coercing you to do things you wouldn't normally do, such as giving up some of your hobbies to help them in some business venture, or driving them to the airport instead of going to an important meeting for your career, and so on, you need to have the courage to tell them no. If you obey others, no matter how close to you they are, it means you don't nourish yourself enough. You don't listen to your needs and desires, and you will end up living a life without authenticity, controlled by the interests of others. Number 5. Do not be ashamed. Nietzsche asks us, what is the seal of liberation? Not to be ashamed in front of oneself. For Nietzsche, feeling shame is like saying no to life. Someone who is ashamed of himself will not take the risk to do anything bold for fear of further embarrassment. People who are prone to shame are easily controlled, as the shamers will take advantage to keep the shamed in their place. Nietzsche considered that religion makes people feel ashamed of themselves on purpose. Shame that goes beyond outward actions, down to one's very thoughts, using so-called sins to control their followers. Nietzsche considered this way of thinking to be inhumane, as when you no longer feel ashamed of yourself, it means you accept your entire being. You're living authentically and free. For example, imagine you're a financial accountant in a company, and you made a huge mistake, losing your company tens of thousands of dollars, and your boss shamed you in front of everybody. Of course you feel terrible at first, but you shouldn't give up your struggle to always improve, day by day, expanding your skill set and trying to win back the confidence of other people in you. To do so, you need to first accept that you made a bad call and take steps to mitigate any chance of you repeating that mistake in future. But more importantly, don't take the criticism your boss gave you personally. There's no reason to feel ashamed. All humans make mistakes. This mistake doesn't represent you as long as you continue improving yourself and learning from it. Number 6. Forgive yourself. Nietzsche teaches us to forgive yourself, your own self. You have it in your power to merge everything you've lived through, false starts, errors, delusions, passions, your loves and hopes, into your goal, with nothing left over. Although forgiveness seems to be a Christian concept, for Nietzsche, the self-proclaimed Antichrist, forgiveness is important too, especially forgiving oneself. Our life principles and attitudes will change in time, and it's important to be kind to the younger versions of ourselves. We all make mistakes, and even if we make big mistakes in the past, we need to understand that we didn't know at the time what we know today. Sometimes we'll need to become harsh with ideas and systems that we once loved in the past, like Nietzsche did with Christianity. He was a student of theology before being a student of philology, but he was able to forgive his younger self because he didn't know what his older self knew about the roots of Christianity. He was just fascinated by its shiny surface. We should forgive ourselves for the mistakes we've made in the past, and this forgiveness starts with learning to be honest with ourselves, to recognize the journey we've followed, how we've transformed, and what we've learned along the way. For example, if you used to cheat on your partners in previous relationships, but now know in your heart that you've truly changed, you've learned to respect people, and you're trying to build a life with someone special to you, you should forgive yourself for past mistakes. Maybe you weren't mature enough at the time. You did what you saw those around you and in the media doing. You chose temporary gratification over honoring the commitment you made by agreeing to enter into a relationship in the first place. Forgive yourself because you didn't know better at the time, and acknowledge the changes you went through. Number 7. Live dangerously. In our final quote for this video, Nietzsche says, "For believe me, the secret for harvesting from existence the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment is to live dangerously." Although Nietzsche's life was not particularly dangerous, it involved certain risks. He put his career in jeopardy by leaving the University of Basel, where he had a respectable position of professor. He then started to write books attacking Christianity, although he came from a very Christian family. His father was a priest. And he also distanced himself from past friends like Richard Wagner when he could no longer like his ideas and music. Nietzsche understood very well that in order to remain authentic, he had to follow a dangerous path with an insecure income and few relationships. He emphasized the importance of not getting stuck into a pattern, into a job position, no matter how respectable it is. He understood it's important to experiment with life in order to find what works for you. It does not matter how many people will be beside you in the end. What matters is to be yourself, to be authentic, and to never abandon who you are. To implement this teaching in our life, we need to stop trying to fit into social groups to gain advantages. If we don't, then we won't live an authentic life. We'll always copy somebody else and adopt ideas and concepts which we might not even agree with at a deep level. For example, if you're part of a political party and the leader does something you consider wrong, you should leave said party, even if you lose all the financial and political privileges associated with it. The principles you value are a part of yourself. The principles you value are a part of your true nature, and you shouldn't abandon who you are just to stay in line with the people around you. It's worthy to risk your income and position to preserve the authenticity of who you are. As we said at the beginning, this video has been brought to you by NordVPN. Each time you access a website, you start by connecting to your internet service provider, and they redirect you to any websites that you wish to visit, which means that they can see and log everything you do online. They may even sell your browsing history to advertisers, government agencies, and other third parties. This risk of your information getting out only increases once you log on to any public hotspot, either in hotels, cafes, or at airports, since anyone with basic hacking skills could access your sensitive information such as your passwords, banking details, credit card numbers, and any other private details every time you put them online. And here's where NordVPN comes into play. NordVPN hides your IP address and encrypts all the data you send or receive by tunneling your internet traffic through a specially configured remote server. The encrypted data then looks like gibberish to anyone who intercepts it. It's impossible to read. All of us here at Philosophies for Life use NordVPN. The app makes using a VPN super easy. Nord has over 5,200 superfast servers in 59 countries. This means you can watch whatever you want, regardless of your region. You can save your favorite servers, and depending on your usability, you can have up to 6 simultaneous connections. At just $3.56 a month, this is the chance to get a 2-year deal. Click on the link below in the description and use our promo code to get a 2-year plan, plus a bonus gift with a huge discount. Click on the link in the description below to protect your online identity today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out our full Philosophies for Life playlist, and for more videos to help you find success and happiness using ancient philosophical wisdom, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.